What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. The most wonderful time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
No, it's not Christmas. It's free epic time. There is a brand new free epic for everybody in the game and some Guardian gear, which is really nice, very powerful stuff, and some silver. All you need to do is go over to your promo code section and enter Sintranos 2023 and scoop up your free goodies. So the question is this guy worth a 60? Is he worth a build? Now, as always in Raid Shadow Legends, it kind of depends, but he is a good champion. He's not quite perfect, but you can use him in a lot of different areas. So Giscard, defense based and an epic. Obviously, we're off to a good start because defense-based champions do a lot of damage. They're very easy to keep alive. His stats are pretty good. He's got 17.5k HP, which is decent, and he's got an obscenely high defense at 1400. So he is going to do damage. He is going to stay alive. His speed is not great at 96, but aside from that, pump him up with a bit of speed, he's going to be fine. So looking at his kit, his A1, he attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing the big version of decreased attack. So if you're a brand new player, if you're very early game, this is a great move for clan boss and for dungeons because decreased attack will halve the amount of damage basically that you're taking. You can book this up to a 75% chance. If you put Sniper Mastery on him, you can get 80%. So it is a fairly consistent, albeit not certain, decreased attack. The downside is it's only for one turn, so unless you can extend this debuff, the decreased attack, you've got a debuff extender, it's going to drop off. So it is going to be, you're going to have to pair him in clan boss with somebody else who does decreased attack, I think. His A2 is an AoE and it presses a provoke. It's got a 50% chance of doing that, so you can book it up to 75% with books. That's a pretty good move. AoE provoke is nice. It would of course be much better if it was 100%. There is a rare in the game that does 100% provoke, Sprit, Affinity, Nullhorn, but it also puts a shield on him for 25% of his max HP for 2 turns. It synergizes quite well with its passive, fills this champion's turn meter 15% whenever he's attacked by anybody under a provoke, or if they also just so happen to have increased attack. So the idea with this move is the provoke goes on, he then gets hit, it boosts up his turn meter. So if he takes 4 hits as an example, that's going to be a 60% turn meter boost, which is pretty handy. Books down to a 3-turn cooldown this as well. His fourth move is a 60% increased defense and 50% increased attack on all allies for 2 turns, books to 3-turn cooldown. Now, if you can extend this, if you've got a buff extender, you can have a 60% increased defense for the entirety of a fight. You put it up once and you just keep extending it. He refreshes it on its 3rd turn. It lasts 2 turns, gets extended, and so on and so forth. So, where do you use him? Well, his kit is a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. I think he's got use in clan boss. He's got use in dungeons. Clan boss, most important thing clan boss is decreased attack. Second most important thing is increased defense. He's got both of those in his kit. He is an interesting piece of the puzzle. As I say, the issue with the A1 is that it's only for 1 turn, so if you can't get this extended, or you don't have somebody else who's doing decreased attack with a pretty high chance, then there's a question as to how useful this move is. But if you do pair him, so looking at our account, if we have got ourselves a Torogi, the Froggy, well, he does decreased attack on his A1, 2 turns, which is better, but he's got a lower chance. So even if we book him out, he's only going to have a 45% chance. So those two potentially could pair well together. So you've got to bear that in mind on his A1. His A2, of course, is absolutely fantastic for dungeon waves, but it's useless in clan boss. Increased defense is very good for clan boss, as I say, one of the very desirable buffs your team can have. Again, if you pair him with an extender, you can get this up the whole time. Doesn't do anything for the stun, so a champion who I am thinking of 60ing for the clan boss team is Marked. Really good champion. She does the increased defense for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Much easier to book out because she's a rare. but she also brings block debuff, so I know that if we can extend this, we can completely block out the clan boss stun, and we don't have to worry about taking a cleanse. Of course, she's nowhere near as good a champion. She also has an AoE, but it's decreased accuracy instead of provoke, and she has got no decreased attack on her A1, but a decreased defense. So, clan boss, I think he certainly can be usable, and if you're brand new, or you're very, very early game, I think you can build him and chuck him in, and he's going to do work for you, because he's going to help keep your team alive. He's going to pump up the damage of any increased attack champions. He's going to occasionally put this decreased attack buff on for you, which will be helpful. He will screw up on magic affinity though, if you try and speed tune him, because the magic affinity clan boss will have increased attack, and that will then cause him to basically get extra turn meters to boost, and that will throw out your speed tune, so that's a little bit of an annoyance. He does have faction crypt aura of 27% as well for defense. So for faction wars, of course, amazing, but we're just trying to debate whether to build him in the general game or not. So clan boss, I certainly think he can be built for it, and he would potentially be a useful unit, albeit I wouldn't say he's an automatic 60 for clan boss. If you've got no other decreased attack, do it. If you've got nobody else doing increased defense, I'd do it. I probably would 60 him just to chuck him in my team, figure out what I'm going to do with the stun later, and then try and maybe see if there's, pair him with Valerie to do the buff extension, and that way at least you've got increased defense the whole fight. You do have to deal with the stun or a cleanse or a block debuff from another champ, and you also have to bring a decreased attack, but he's probably worthy of a spot. If, let's say, you don't want to do him for clan boss, so let's say I'm going to stick with Marked and Valerie, and I'm going to use those two because I prefer the block buffs. Well, in dungeons, in Doom Tower, AoE control is very valuable, and I think a 75% AoE provoke is going to be helpful. The Spirit Affinity, so early on in the game, you're going to struggle a lot on Doom Tower waves that have got lots of force champs, and it's going to be handy to provoke them up. So it's a good move, and it's going to be useful to you, I think. He's also going to be kind of useful in Tag Arena, or perhaps in Arena in general, because he does increase defense and increase attack. So if you really wanted to be super niche and slot somebody in to buff up your team for extra damage, if you've got a defense-based nuker or an increased attack champ, you could use him there. I'd say it's probably a bit of a waste, because increased attack you can get from somebody else, and there are other champs who do more important things for Arena, like turn meter boosting, increase speed, drop defense, weaken. But again, there's a little bit of a possibility here. His passive, again, I think probably makes him more dungeon viable for control, and an AoE controller for Spirit Affinity is nice. Now we do have from the Sacred Order Templar, who is defense based and does a kind of AoE control job. This guy's far more from the campaign, 4 hits at random. Each one has a 25% block, buffs up to like 50% chance of provoke, so not as good, but he also puts block damage on himself. He's got decreased speed and like inbuilt counterattack into his kit. So realistically, I think this guy is a good champion. He's definitely worthy of building. I think if you're very early in the game, a 60 of him is going to be beneficial to you. You're going to have a hard time replacing him out your Faction Wars team anyway. And I think for AoE control for Spirit Affinity, I think he's pretty good. Now, the issue I've got, and the issue a lot of new players will have, is books. And his kit is fine for just general use without being booked. Like if you just chuck him into Doom Tower, as an example, or maybe you stick him in a dragon run that is on, Force Affinity, so he's strong. Well, yeah, he's still going to be useful. He'll provoke waves, he'll put increased defense, increased attack. He will occasionally decrease attack the dragon. But the issue you've got is books, because books are very, very scarce in this game in the first couple of months. You really have to pick like 2, maybe 3 if you get lucky epics to book out. I've got Troggy the Froggy. He's a much better, he's 100% a clan boss, probably Ultra Nightmare, potentially viable champion, certainly Nightmare clan boss viable. So I want to book this guy out. I know I've got to use 5 books on his A3. If we get unlucky, we might have to put another 5 books into his A2. We probably want his A1 booking, so all my epic books are going to go into this champ. Ugo is also another S tier endgame champion. I really want this A3 booking out for the AoE team revive, pick up and cleanse, because she's going to become a better healer when she gets this. For Ice Golem, as long as she doesn't wipe, she'll pick up the rest of the entire team. So that's another champ I really want to book. We've been lucky, we've pulled Rector Drath. Books for her are very important because you can get her revived down to a 4-turn cooldown. You can also get this heal pumped up quite a bit, again on a 4-turn cooldown, continuous heal as well. I've got Magnar. He possibly doesn't need books, but he will improve because his AoE comes back faster, it does a load more damage. So what I'm getting at is it worthwhile justifying books on Giscard The Sigiled to basically get his increased defense down to 3-turn cooldown for 2 turns for Clan Boss, when I've already got that move booked out on a rare champion. Now, of course, an epic champion's going to be better. He's got better stats. He's going to do more damage. But if I put books into him, that means no books in Taraji. It means no books in Ugo. And I think you'd have to say he's going to be third in the epic book queue at best. Deacon's another champ who would benefit from books because we could get his turn meter filled down. We could build this guy in a stun set. He's got drop defense, got AoE attack. He does leech. He's another consideration for epic books, and you never know who you're going to pull as well. You might end up getting somebody who's fantastic. Zargala, really fun champ. You want this Devastate down on a 2-turn cooldown, so we are really starving for books. So on that basis, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave him. I'm going to build him to 50. I'm going to kind of park him there. In the long run, if we can get the other Clan Boss pieces of the puzzle to fit with him, then I certainly think we can 60 him and he can take marked slot for the increased defense. We obviously then just have to work a way of dealing with the stun. So for me, on my account at the moment, he's going to go in the queue to 50, definitely. I'm going to try and finish my Clan Boss team out first. Then I'll probably do Magnar, Rector Drath, maybe him as well up to 50, and then see where the land lies there. But a really good champion. You know, if you pull him, if you do decide to build him 60, you will get a lot of utility out of him. He's going to be useful in dungeons, Doom Tower, faction wars, potentially Clan Boss, tag arena. You know, you're probably not going to get him on your arena team per se, but in tag, obviously you're struggling for champions. So overall, fantastic to get a free champ. Now, another thing that we have got is the Guardian set stuff. Now, of course, this is just total RNG as to what you get, but the Guardian set is quite difficult to get from hard Doom Tower, so early on this is a huge boost. If, let's say, you do get a crappy pair of boots like this, where they're 6-star, they've rolled defense, you can always chaos ore them if you can find yourself a 6-star chaos ore, so it might be worth hanging on to them, just because you might want to turn them into 6-star boots, and you might get lucky, you might get speed, but other than that, these pieces are really valuable. You know, it'll heal by 10% every turn, absorb 10% of damage to ally champions, which can be nice. So if you don't have ally protect on your Clan Boss team, putting this set on a very tanky champion will help you out somewhat for survival. Right, that has been the video. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I've been Filthy Casual. Take it easy. Peace.